Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's that time of the month again, November wrap-up time. So this month I read a lot of different books as well as a lot of different forms of book, but I'm very excited to discuss what we did. This is not my first time filming this video, this is actually my second time. First time round I ended up rambling for like over 45 minutes, so I decided to scrap that video and here we are again. Just in case it's a long one, I would suggest grabbing a tea and a snack. Today I also have some tea. I have a High Living organic detox tea. It's not my favorite. It has like licorice root in it, so it kind of overpowers the taste, but it's very good for you, so I'm drinking it. For the month of November, which felt like a year in itself, it was for some reason the longest month. For the month of November, I read 13 books. I DNF'd 1. I read 7 audiobooks, or listened to, shall I say, 1 Kindle book and 4 physical books, and 1 of the physical books were library books. The total number of pages I read is 3,810, which roughly gives us like 136 pages a day, which is quite a bit for me. I guess that was largely because I was listening to audiobooks. I go for walks like in the morning and sometimes in the evening, so I'll just pop in an audiobook and listen to it while I walk. Sometimes it interests me enough and I listen to it longer, and a few of them have been like that, but mostly I just listen to it on my walk. That is the stats. I don't know if anybody is interested in the breakdown of genres. I do not know. I didn't actually write anything down for that because I'm not sure how relevant it is, so please let me know in the comments if you like to know the genre breakdown or not, and I'll add it back in my videos. But with that being said, and all the stats that we have for the month, let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully it's not as convoluted as it usually is because I actually made notes this time. That's why I'm glancing down. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We follow Sophia, and she's had a string of really terrible dates. She's kind of given up. She just wants to fit in with all her peers who are married and having kids. Finally, she meets this man. He is slightly older than her, maybe in his 50s, so I think it's almost 20 years. And they decide to take their relationship to the next level by going on a vacation together. She's thinking Caribbean, paradise, sunsets, cocktails, but unfortunately he had different plans. So he books them a really rustic cruise to the Galapagos. At the airport, before boarding the flight on their way to the Galapagos to board this boat, he has to cancel. He has a family emergency and he can't make it anymore, but he wants her to still go on this trip. He gives her his camera bag and it's like, take loads of pictures, whatever. So she takes these 8 days to self-discover and kind of figure out what's going on. During these 8 days, she hasn't heard a single word from him. She knows something funky's going on, and through some events, she finds out some things, and there's a major twist, which I didn't expect from such a docile self-discovery book. But when you find out, it's like mind blown. And I really did like her writing style. I thought it was great. It was 54 pages and it encompassed so much, kept me entertained the whole way through. It was deep, it was meaningful, it had a lot of feeling, and I didn't expect that from a novella. But I don't rate novellas any higher than a 3 usually. 3 is like kind of like, it's amazing and I really enjoy it. The next audiobook I listened to again on my walks was A Fatal Affair by A.R. Torre. And unfortunately, A.R. Torre falls in the same bracket to me as Lucinda Berry. Their books are very simple, very quick, palate cleansers, snacky type of books where you just want to read it, something quick and be done with it, and maybe also bring you out of a slump. And they both have the option to do the audiobook. So I never give them anything higher than a 3-star. So for this book, we have a 3-star. This one was more like a thriller / suspense, and it involves a love triangle as well. Our main female character, Nora, is involved in a love triangle, and it is between twins. So one twin she's actually engaged to, and the other twin she's just kind of seeing on the side. And when one of them turns up dead with an unknown woman, it unravels all their secrets, literally all their secrets. The problem with the book was that it had multiple points of view. So we had the detectives, we had Nora, we had her house staff, we had so many different points of views, and I listened to it so fragmentedly. And for me, it just all didn't make sense. And I think if I had listened to it all the way through, I wouldn't have found so many plot holes, because when I came back to the book, I was like, wait, what's going on? Who are we talking about? There was just too many moving parts in it. The twist at the end was really good. I didn't expect it. I kind of surmised it was something like that, but it was executed really, really well. But 3 stars. The next book I read was a physical one, and it is Tomorrow ×3 by Gabrielle Zevin, but this was a library book. I gave this book 3 stars. Let me tell you what the book is about first before I tell you how I feel. This follows 2 childhood friends, Sadie and Sam, and they meet in a hospital when they're really, really young. It just kind of follows their lives of creating this company together where they create video games, and it's all like love and relationships and friendships and joy and tragedy. It's like got so many encompassing feelings and depth, but unfortunately it was too overwritten. So these are my feelings. Like, I believe that Sam and Sadie were friends, like the way it worked. They loved each other, but they were never in love, although he thought about it sometimes, but they didn't really have that. I didn't feel a connection to either characters, and I honestly didn't like either of them. I thought they were both really unlikable characters. Like I said, the book was just so overwritten. There was just too much details, too much descriptions. There was a part where there was, if you watch my video, you'll see this, but there's an entire paragraph where she's broken up with her boyfriend and she's moving away, and he's asked her like a million questions, and it's a page long. And in my mind, I was thinking it could have been 3 things, it could have been 5 things, it could have even been 10 things, but an entire page dedicated to just this one singular event. I was like, I can't. So I started skimming. I skipped a few chapters because even though they engineer or they make video games, they spoke too much about the programming, the creative process, and it was just too much for me. I didn't need that in order to understand the story that was unfolding. It didn't need to be focused on so heavily, whereas a lot of people who I do watch on YouTube said that it was great. It was 5 stars and you didn't need to know anything about video games. I know a little bit about video games, but not that much, and nor do I have an interest in the back-end stuff really. I understand that there's programming and designers and there's all these things. I understand that, but I don't feel like that was the point of the book. So the first 100 pages, absolutely loved. The last 100 pages, absolutely loved. But the section in the middle, it just threw me off, and like I said, I ended up skimming. I'm not the type of person who just likes dialogue. I honestly like description, I like scenery, I like setting the scene, but unfortunately it was too much. It was way too much, and it banged on about the same things that were, for me, irrelevant to the story. So unfortunately, this is a 3-star, but it's good. Like I said, I would recommend for people who like that sort of thing, but it wasn't for me at all. Next, I read Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I absolutely love this book. I gave it a 4-star though, because it is YA, and there was just some references in it that I didn't fully grasp, but it was still so good, and I would recommend this to people for sure. If you like dystopian, if you like sci-fi, if you like fairy tale retellings, you'll absolutely love this. This was a great book. I enjoyed every single second. I read it so quickly as well because it just flowed so well. This is obviously a dystopian world, and they live in a city called New Beijing, where humans and androids coincide. So androids are like the maids and the help and the guards, like they do all of that. But then they also have cyborgs. Cyborgs are an abomination, obviously, and they are viewed as like second-rate citizens because they're half machine, half human, and humans obviously are the superior race in New Beijing, or on Earth, shall I say. At the same time, there's a plague that is literally wiping through their population. They need to find a cure because there is no cures. But there's this other type of people in the moon, or on the moon, and they're called lunars. They kind of don't like humans and humans don't like them, and there's some sort of conflict between them. But when Cinder, our main female character, her path crosses with the prince, and his name is Kai, it just starts unraveling this crazy, crazy, crazy string of events. It's very adventurous. It's, oh my god, it is so good. She, as you can see on the cover, has a peg leg. Well, I call it a peg leg, but her leg is completely automated over there. So she has a stepmom and 2 stepsisters, but they call them step, but they're actually her adopted family because her father, or her stepfather, adopted her when she was really young and just went through her procedure and they adopted her, but then he passed away and she's left with the stepmother and stepsister. So that's where the Cinderella-esque things fall into place. She's also a mechanic and she has like a stall in the town square where she works for her family when they actually do nothing. It's the adventure. It was so nostalgic to all the dystopian movies and books that I liked in my childhood, and I couldn't recommend this more. I do have the second book called Scarlet, which interconnects with Cinder. Great, I would 100% recommend. Again, another audiobook I listened to, The Unmissing by Minka Kent. This I gave a 3-star to. Again, it is a Kindle Unlimited mystery, and you know how it goes. I don't have to explain myself again. This has 2 timelines, and one of the timelines follows Merritt Collette, who has everything she wants. Like, she has her dream house, her dream husband, the dream family. She's pregnant with a toddler. Well, she's pregnant and has a toddler. She has everything she's ever dreamed of. But one night, it's all shattered when there's a knock at the door while her husband is away at work. And it's his first wife who went missing 10 years ago, was presumed dead, and she's standing right there. So it kind of just follows the journey of Merritt trying to come to terms with what is going on. Lydia, who is obviously down and out now, she has no identity or anything like that because she was presumed dead and she hasn't even gone to the police. For Merritt, she's like, well, why hasn't she gone to the police? What does she actually want from us? And why did she come to us first? Lydia is the only one who has like the key to all these secrets. And the twist, I really didn't expect. It was very traumatic. Oh my gosh, it was actually pretty good. But like I said, with these books, there's plot holes, but it was so interesting and it kept me going because I wanted to figure out as well, like, she went missing 10 years ago, presumed dead. You can't just be presumed dead, can you? I don't know. Then her just showing up, she's literally homeless at first, obviously, because she can't figure out where to go. She tries to look for a job, she sleeps on park benches, like she's going through so much. Merritt is just trying to protect her family, protect her wealth, but at the same time trying to help Lydia. It was entertaining. It really was entertaining. Moving on, we read 9 by Zach Hines, which I also gave a 4-star to. And again, the reason is the same. It's YA, and there's just some parts that I've grown out of, and some parts I need in a book that a YA cannot fully bring to me. But this is also dystopian, so obviously I loved it. This is in another dystopian world where obviously it's humans and it's very close to our own. However, people have 9 lives. So as you shed your life, it brings with it like some sort of upgrade, like better teeth, better skin, better hair. Every time you burn through it, it kind of upgrades you. You get rebates as well from the government, so you kind of build up your class as well. Julian, our main character, goes to school. They have this group who is obsessed with burning through lives, but he really doesn't want to. After something happened to his mother, after burning through a bunch of lives, she suffered the illness of rebirth, which is like degradation, so her mind just deteriorated completely. Due to this, he can't fathom doing it. Eventually, he gets roped in by some friends and he ends up burning alive and immediately has a kink, which is something new at the moment. Every time people are reborn, there's some environmental factors that are affected and people are getting kinks. Normally, you would get a kink much later on in your life, but at the moment, it's happening so quickly. Like, one of his friends burned, well, they call it burning through your life. So he burned and he came back and he couldn't taste anything. It's literally just like messing with people's head, but the government somehow is trying to push them to burn through more lives so that they can do population control. It was very, very, very gory in the sense that they show you how they burn their lives, because you can either go the assisted route or you can go and self-harm. So you have two choices, and the kids at school are self-harming, and they have like parties, burn parties, where they all do like mass attacks. It's mental, but it was written so well. Zach Hines is also a screenwriter, so it was written like a movie, and I love the way it flowed. Like I said, I like description and scenery, and he did it so well. It wasn't overwritten, it wasn't over-explained, it was just the perfect amount to feel like I was watching a movie, and I couldn't recommend this more. It's really good, and I would recommend reading it. Moving into another audiobook. This one is a little bit weird as well. It's called The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchins. This again was a 3-star. Okay, there's a man and his son who have this beautiful garden / aviary, and they decorate it with butterflies. But these butterflies are actually kidnapped girls, and they tattoo them with butterfly designs, give them new names, and kind of house them. But they house them for a certain amount of time because beauty deteriorates. Then he ends up embalming them and casting them in resin. There's one survivor after the FBI got a tip-off and raided it. There's one survivor, and her name is, well, her given name is Maya. We don't know much about her, and she's a very unreliable narrator and witness. And as her story unfolds, you don't know what is true and what is a lie. But the description of what was done to them, how they were captured, like all of it was very traumatic and in a lot of depth. The problem I had with this book is it didn't have chapters, so it had page breaks in between like sections of it, and that would move you into the next chapter. So it would be the detective asking questions and Maya telling a story, but it didn't flow very nicely. I like a page, like at least a chapter break or a point of view change. Like it was a hard lesson because you actually had to pay attention to it in order to figure out what was really going on. Maya, I think she was, I don't know, she was a very strange character. Like all the things that had happened to her, she didn't mind it as much, because in her mind she like would recite poetry and all of this, and she didn't mind it because her upbringing before that wasn't great. It was weird. It was really weird. I wouldn't recommend this book, but it was still good enough that it kept me interested, and I gave it a 3-star, but it is very taboo, so I would check trigger warnings before going into this one. The next 3 books is part of a series, and I again listened to this, and this was more like a dark romance, but told from a male's point of view, written by a female author, which is very interesting to me because I have never read anything like that. The series is called The Cruel Castaways. There's 3 books which follows a group of friends. So there's 3 males and it follows their stories. They're all kind of enemies to lovers type of books, where the last one is more like marriage of convenience or fake dating, but together I really liked it. The first book wasn't the best for me, but as the series went on, it actually got better. And it's written by LJ Shen. I haven't read a LJ Shen book since maybe 2021. I really liked her too, because I just got my Kindle, not just, but I had my Kindle and I was reading mostly books from that. I didn't really buy physical books because I used to travel a lot. I downloaded a bunch of LJ Shen because they're available on Kindle Unlimited. This was different. This was very different, like I said. So the first book was called Ruthless Rivals. I gave it a 3-star, and it was more like rivals to lovers. And it follows Arya and Nicholas, who are like childhood friends, but Nicholas, he's not even Nicholas, it's Nikolai. His mother is the housekeeper of Arya's parents' estate. His whole life he's been told not to touch her, not to engage with her. They have like a secret friendship, but one day when they're about 12 or 13, she dares him to kiss her. And due to some events that happen, he gets sent away to a boarding school. Then 20 years later, they haven't spoken, no contact between them. Arya's father is sued for sexual harassment, but she cannot believe it. Her father's the most gentle, nicest person she's ever met. He's so caring. He's all these things to her, and she won't believe it. The opposing lawyer or attorney has it out for him. He's out for blood. Arya cannot fathom why this person is doing it. She owns a PR firm, so she tries to like bash him and, you know, talk her father up and all these things. But Christian is super good looking. He's really wealthy and really successful. So at the same time as like she hates him, she's super attracted to him because he's so good looking, but she comes from money as well. So it's not like a big deal or anything. And she owns her own company. The money's not a big deal, but he definitely has something about him. And he's warned her a few times times just to step away from the case because she'll get hurt. I changed his identity and obviously his career. They haven't seen each other in 20 years and she doesn't recognize him because his name is now Christian instead of Nikolai. And when she looked Nikolai up in her past, she found out that he had passed. He was right in front of her the whole time. But when she finds out who he really is, it's like I said, rivals to lovers. I really did enjoy it. It was really good and it made me want to read the second book, which I did. That was called Fallen Foe, and this is book 2. Like I said, I gave this a 4-star. It was a much better fleshed out story in my opinion, and it follows Arsène, which is one of Christian from the first book's friends. So Arsène, he doesn't want to marry for love. He's actually marrying for revenge, or as a challenge, shall I say. When his fiancée unexpectedly and very weirdly passes away, it unravels all his planning. Everything he sought out to do, it is unraveled. Still reeling from all that's going on with his fiancée, the unexpectedness and the weirdness of her passing, there's one person who knows maybe a little bit more than he does, and her name is Winnie. She is a struggling actress because she got married to this guy and he also passed away, and for some reason she ends up at the theater that Arsène owns. And because they cannot actually stand each other, him trying to get information about his fiancée is so difficult because they end up just knocking heads and they just really don't get on. Everything flourishes from there through a stream of events, their investigations, the tragedy that they have a shared experience in, and the betrayal that they both experienced. Like, it brings them together in more ways than one, and it was a lovely story. She's like a Southern belle and he's like a grumpy git. So the two of them, grumpy sunshine, it made for a really good story. The final book was called Cold-Hearted Casanova, and this was again a 4-star. So this one was more, like I said, a marriage of convenience / fake dating. And it follows Riggs in this book, who's also friends with Arsène and Christian. He is a millionaire, or actually a billionaire, put it that way. He's a billionaire and he doesn't like it. He doesn't want people to know. It's like his best kept secret. He still works. He works for like National Geographic and travels around the world climbing mountains and taking pictures for them. He doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that he has money. He doesn't have a house. He doesn't have a car. He owns no actual possessions. He just stays on the couch of one of his friends' houses, freeloading, even though he's a billionaire. He's also like a playboy, like a proper playboy. He goes through women, like he does his meals 3 times a day. That's what it said on the back of the book. And when he's found sleeping with a married woman, it all combusts. They are caught out by the woman's assistant. So her assistant is called Daphne, and Daphne is, she's special. Her main aim in life is first of all to marry well and to stay in the United States. She doesn't want to move back to England because she lives in council housing there. She comes from a poorer background. Like, she was sent to like a gifted school for like really intelligent people, but she was the only one who was on a sponsorship or a scholarship. So she went with like broken shoes. She'd have like same thing for lunch every day, like peanut butter sandwiches or whatever, and her kids really made fun of her. So when she meets this guy who is her almost fiance, she is set on him. He comes from a wealthy background. He's American and she's set her eyes on marrying him. But when he goes away for 6 months to self-discover himself, she's left with figuring out how she's going to stay in the States because her boss just got another job and she cannot take her with her, and there's no place in the company for her. So unfortunately, she either needs to go back to the UK or marry someone. She ends up blackmailing her ex-boss and Riggs. Riggs goes through his own set of stuff and they eventually decide to fake date and then agree to fake marry. At the end of the day, neither of them know if they actually fake married or if this is a real marriage. So it was really funny and it was good to see like that side of things. Like, she's so serious and he's so like nonchalant. Like, he just wants to live like the nomad life and she wants money and a house, and she's so set in her ways. A lot of us women are like that, I guess, but she's so set in it. And then when they go through like her visa process as well, he's like very scared to like give like his financial details because he doesn't want her to find out that he's a billionaire because she wants to marry for money. So it was really funny, really good. And I actually listened to this in a day. It was like 300 and something pages. And I went for my walk, and I think I went for like a 40-minute walk that day, and then just sat on my bed didn't move, just listen to the rest of it. It was so funny, and I would 100% recommend the series if you like more of a darker romance. It's not like dark mafia romance, but it is a darker romance, but it does also have smut in it, so if you don't like that, I wouldn't recommend. So yeah, that was really great, and I'm glad I listened to that. I have had a look to see if there's more Shin books that I want to read, and I haven't found any yet. So let me know if you like anything by her or have heard of her down in the comments. Then the book that put me in a slump or reading hangover, I'm not entirely sure, it's one of the two, but I've struggled for the last maybe 3 weeks since I read this book to enjoy any other book. A Court of Wings and Ruins. Guys, this book, it got me. The first 100 pages though, I liked, and then it was like another 100 pages after that. I was like, I did a check-in in my video and I was like, I don't know if I like the series anymore. I'm really lost. I don't know what's going on. It feels super boring. Like, what is going on? But the further I got, the more I loved it, and I fell back in love with this. Oh my goodness, 5 stars, 5 whole stars. Maybe 6. My favorite book in the series is still the second book. This is the third. So the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury. Absolutely loved that one. Fell in love all over again. But I also loved this one. This was so good, and I loved it. I can't tell you too much about it because it is the third book in a series, and unfortunately it has a lot of spoilers since we follow the same characters going through an adventure. The found family, the romance, the war, everything that this book encompassed, I absolutely loved and ate up. There was a bit, like I said, where I was unsure, but it wasn't warranted. I was lying in the sun every single day just trying to absorb the book because I loved it so much. But so good. I know a lot of people hate on this series, but it's everything I want. Like, it has just enough details, it has just enough description, it has just enough romance. Like, it has all the things that I enjoy in a book. The same people who like these books don't necessarily like the other books I like, so I just think it depends on your taste. But I thought this was an absolutely amazing series so far. I have 2 books left in the series, but couldn't recommend it enough. The next book I read is the second last one, so the video should end soon, and it's already going better than my previous one that I filmed. Trust me, that was bad. I was rambling. I was barely even looking at the camera because I was set up somewhere else, and I was out looking out in the window. I was just ridiculous. I've no idea what went on that day. I usually don't plan my videos because I just want to kind of give you guys a feel and not plan it too much. But I had to write some things down now because I was just going on and I was basically telling you the entire plot of the book. So I had to scrap that video. But second last book, this is so embarrassing, but it's my guilty pleasure, I'm not gonna lie. So it was The Hot Vampire Next Door by Nikki Sincro. This is the first book in the series. They're all called The Hot Vampires Next Door, but it has like episode 1, 2, 3, and I think there's 7 books. So I read episode 1. It's very smutty, guys. Like I said, The Lost of Vicious Boys. Is that what it's called? The Vicious Lost Boys by Nikki Sincro as well. I think I'm 4 books deep in that series. There's 1 more to go if I'm not mistaken. Love them. Love them. It's my guilty pleasure. It's very smutty, very taboo, and I love it. I love it. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. It wasn't very long either. I think it was maybe 160 pages if I'm not mistaken. But it happens in a world where there's werewolves, witches, fairies, all the things, but it's in just one town in the United States called Midnight. In this society, humans and all these mythical beings live and coincide together. As a human, you have to swear or pledge yourself to a vampire group or a witch clan or whatever you choose, but when you're 21, you need to do that. So our main female character, Jessica, she lives next door to a hot vampire and she's obsessed with him. She watches him all the time and he walks around naked and she's like beside herself. She's 20 years old, so she does her thing, not realizing that he can hear everything that she is doing. She has no desire to pledge to anyone. She hates the family. I think they're called the Larks that her family have pledged to, and she doesn't want to do it. But there's another family, the Duvals. She just doesn't want to swear to anybody. She doesn't want to give herself up. She wants to go and leave Midnight and just not pledge to anybody and have no mythical beings living around her anymore. She can't do it. She just wants to get out. But her 21st birthday is fast approaching and she doesn't know how to tell people or how to do it, or she just doesn't have the tools in order to get out. After a string of unusual events and things that happen, it's kind of opened up a door to a secret that she has no idea what it is, but there's hints dropped, there's all these things. So herself and Bran, who is the vampire next door, go on this quest to find out what has been hidden about her past, why these things are happening, and that's where I ended up finishing the book. But like I said, very smutty, and I love it. I thought it was really good. 3.5 stars. I'm embarrassed about it, I am, but I mean, I'm gonna own it because I enjoy it, okay? I really enjoy it. The last book for the month of November, which is actually going to be in a vlog maybe in a couple of weeks. I'm only doing one vlog for December, so this is going to be in it, so I don't want to tell you too much about it. I'm not going to tell you my ranking or my rating because I still don't know. So I read this book maybe, I want to say 10 days ago, and I still have no opinion really. And this I read after this. So unfortunately, this was never gonna be able to stand up next to that, unfortunately. I've never read anything by Ali Hazelwood, and I thought this would be a good thing to start with. I don't know why, because I don't read real romance, but I did not love it. I loved the romance part, but I didn't like the lore. Like, all the vampire and werewolf lore that we know and love has been changed. Like, vampires have purple blood and werewolves have green blood. Werewolves are also the superior race, and they all live amongst each other and have alliances. So we follow our main female character, Mercy, who is a vampire, and her father is the most powerful vampire in all the state. And he has now promised her off to a werewolf. So he's marrying her off with an arranged marriage and an alliance. Before that, Misery was living amongst humans because, again, she was used as bargaining chips for an alliance with the humans, and she was placed there. So she lived amongst them and lived like a boring life, but she didn't mind because she didn't really feel like she fit in anywhere. And when she's presented with this proposal to marry a werewolf, she goes into it because of some other reason that she doesn't tell us in the beginning, or we don't know, but she ends up marrying him, and you just go through the motions of all of that. So yeah, it was okay. But it definitely wasn't my favorite fantasy book I've ever read, but it also wasn't the worst. I liked Mercy and Lo as a couple, or as two characters. I really, really did like it, and I liked the progression of their relationship, although it was very frustrating because it is more of a slow burn. I still don't know how I feel about the book, I'm not gonna lie. That is all the books that I read in November. I'm hoping this isn't going to be such a long video. I've probably filmed for about 45 minutes, so hopefully I can cut it down. But that is it. Let me know what you guys read this month, how many books you read. This is the most I've read in a while because I listen to so many audiobooks. But do you think audiobooks are still reading? Because I do. A lot of the times I still listen to it and follow along with the words. Let me know your opinion. But that is it for December. I just wanted to tell you guys that I'm going to do mostly ranking videos and wrap up videos. So I'm going to rank all my 5 stars, all my mid books, and then give you all my DNFs. Everything that was more or less like a 2-star is not going to be mentioned in any videos, and then I do have one reading vlog. That's kind of the update. I don't know what we're going to do next year or moving forward. I am getting married next year. I have a lot of things going on, so I don't know. The channel isn't growing as fast as I would like it to, obviously, because I don't have really any other social media platforms. But yeah, if you do see this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please do not hesitate to share, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. I would really, really appreciate that. But with that being said, I'll see you all in my next one. Bye guys.